I was filming an Instagram story in a rainforest, and I started to think about why people always ask me what camera I use for my stories.
It's starting to rain on us. The rainforest is appropriately named.
You can see what they did there.
They're doing portraits. I want to get out of the rain. Now, on trips like this, we're in beautiful Tofino. It's British Columbia, west coast of Canada. I really like shooting on my big cameras, but I do also shoot on this guy a lot. And it's funny how every single time, without fail, when I post Instagram stories, people are like, what camera did you film that on? And literally, it's just this guy, the iPhone Mini 13. Not even the Pro Max or anything like that, just the Mini. And I'm gonna show you guys how I make this little guy look more like a mirrorless camera, a cinematic camera, than just a smartphone. It's really raining out here. Look at this place though, it's so magical. Like, holy crap, look at this forest.
Here are some very simple tips to set you apart. Also, check out this Animo bomber jacket we're designing right now. It's sick, but also watch. So freaking good. Also, I did get the old Rona after that Tofino trip, so I've kind of been out of commission for the last week, and that's why my voice sounds a little bit weird, but hey, at least I have all the antibodies now. Glad that's over. To make a phone look really good and fool your audience into thinking that it's a higher end camera, not just your phone, you really first need to know the strengths and the weaknesses of your phone. The biggest strengths, I would say, are the stabilization, the dynamic range, and the size of the camera, where the weaknesses would be the small sensor size, which means very little shallow depth of field, bad in low light, and not very much detail, especially in close-ups. And the first and probably the biggest tip that I can give you guys is to use the ultra-wide camera and not the wide or the selfie camera, which a lot of people end up using. Even when it's filming yourself, I always use the ultra-wide.
Garrett, do you ever use your iPhone for photography or video?
Video all the time.
All the time, right?
I snap a lot of photos. Yeah. It's just like nostalgic for me. And I started on an iPhone 4.
Were you iPhone only on your Instagram account in the beginning?
I was for until I hit 60K.
Heck yeah.
I got hired to shoot and I didn't have a real camera. So I had to buy a camera. People think way too hard about the quality of your stuff. Like, you upload something from your phone, they want to know what camera you used or whatever that is. People just... Yeah. They don't want to learn that it's a lot easier than you think.
Yeah.
Just use the stuff you have on you, man. It's not that complicated.
I literally get, every time I post an Instagram story, people are like, what camera did you film that on? I'm like, my iPhone Mini. Yeah. I just have a Mini.
But why use the ultra wide? It's not even the biggest sensor. It's not the best camera on the phone. Well, in my opinion, it's by far the easiest way to trick your audience into thinking that it is a pro mirrorless camera. Why is this? Well, first off, most people don't use the ultra wide camera, so right away it just looks different. People are like, wait, what camera are you using right now? But the biggest reason is the wider the lens, the less shallow depth of field we have. And since the iPhones, all smartphones don't have really any shallow depth of field, it kind of looks normal when you use the ultra wide. For example, right now I'm filming on the 16-35 at 16, so there's not really that much background blur. There's a little bit, but not that much. But if I go to 35, look at that blur now. And so when you're on the phone and you use, for example, the wide camera and you start kind of getting close to something, it just throws people off because they're like, there should be more background blur. You know, it should look more like that if you want it to be high end. And it doesn't look like that, especially on the telephoto. It's like there should be a lot of background blur and there's nothing. It's all kind of the same. It looks really off. With the ultra wide, it looks much more similar to this. And also with the ultra wide, it feels more like the person watching is there with you instead of just watching a clip of you. And again, I think that just kind of tricks the brain into thinking like, oh, this is a higher end camera. Pro tip, if you're filming yourself, especially if you're using like the selfie camera and you can see yourself, do not look at the screen, look into the camera. It looks like you're kind of like cross-eyed if you're looking at the screen, or that you're just really distracted. Look at the camera, and that's when you're actually looking at the audience. Do not look at the screen. People make this mistake all of the time.
With the amount of rain coming down on my camera, I might just be back to iPhone only soon. How weather sealed are these A7Ss? That's what we're gonna find out today. What the heck? I wish we had forests like these in Ontario. I think I should legit get back to the car. Fog City, bro. Is this like a normal thing for you, Garrett? Is this what you do with your friends?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is typically my luck, so.
This is it.
This is a good day. We had some soft bugs.
While we were in Tofino, BC, we got offered an opportunity we couldn't refuse. An opportunity that hits deep for the Finnish man. A perfect opportunity to show the boys what sauna culture in Finland is like, but on a different level. Since we got wet, decided this was the call. That's a sauna in the middle of nowhere. Okay, listen, because I'm good friends with them, I got you a huge, big discount. I don't even know how they're letting me do this. Epidemic Sound is sponsoring this video, and we all know how important music is for our videos. Right now, you can get 50% off a year subscription to Epidemic Sound. That's right, 50%. Go to the link down below right now, use the code Matti50 and get 50% off. I have never seen them do a discount like that. Not only is Epidemic Sound the best place to get music for your videos, I use them all of the time. Their selection is massive. They have all sorts of genres, and they have really nice AI tools to make it easier for you to find the right music. They actually have a really cool new tool called Ear, where you can choose a specific segment of a song and then find similar songs to that vibe that you like. And not only is it a great place to get your music, right now it is literally the most affordable ever. 50% right now. Use the code Matti50. Thank you so much, Epidemic Sound, for sponsoring this video, and get on that discount, because I don't think that's gonna happen again.
Since we weren't wet and cold enough, we decided to get more wet and cold. Yeah, in the rain. We got paddle boards, ropes.
Matty's checking that out. You think he's gonna
Little bonfire pit, probably won't be using that because it's pouring right now here. Sauna.
have blowtorch. This is how the Canadians do the blowtorch it. But they have the right one. The right one. Yeah.
And they got the right rocks. This is excellent.
This is pretty nice.
Joe's the man. That is not the way you want to do it. Oh. Oh. Dusty, you are the man. What the heck? Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we're on the ultra wide. The next thing you want to do is movement. The stabilization is so good on these things. You need to take advantage of that and get really cool movement. And the biggest tip that I can give you guys with movement is to get really close to objects. This is a very small camera, which means you can get really close to things, and it's actually not even possible on a bigger camera like the Sony that I'm using right now. One of the coolest shots that I like to do do. It's kind of a special of mine. People always laugh at me because it looks a bit stupid. But what you do is you flip your phone upside down and you literally go this close to the ground, water, or whatever you're standing on. And then you follow your subject really close to the ground. It looks so epic and dynamic. It's one of those shots that you just can't do on a normal camera. It'd be way too shaky. You can't get that close to the ground. It just wouldn't look good. But with an iPhone, looks incredible. And lastly, take advantage of the dynamic range. With software, computational photography, the dynamic range on an iPhone is crazy. So you want to stick to kind of like wider shots and almost take advantage of it, where you're like inside and there's a nice sunset outside. You can get both the inside and that nice sunset outside, whereas, you know, with my Sony, one or the other would be either blown out or too dark. In general, wide shots look really good on an iPhone. Once you get closer to subjects, it starts falling apart a little bit and you can kind of see like, oh, he's filming on a phone right now. What I would avoid if you have any choice are low light situations. It just falls apart really quickly, especially with the ultra wide. For example, when I was in that forest with the crazy rain, I tried to film some ultra wide shots and it just didn't look good. It wasn't even like dark in there, but it wasn't that bright and it didn't look good at all. If I tried to mix the two Sony footage and this, you would have right away been like, whoa, that's phone footage. That is a pro DSLR. Did I say DSLR? I meant a mirrorless camera. What is a DSLR? You probably don't even know what a DSLR is. And lastly, I would avoid close-ups, especially with the wide or telephoto. There's no shallow depth of field, so it looks really bad. And the detail it's kind of just not there. But if you do need to do close-ups, I highly recommend using cinematic mode, which is like one of the most, I think, underutilized or undervalued tools on an iPhone. It's actually so impressive what you can do. And I think you could fool a lot of people into thinking that you're using a more expensive camera when it's just your smartphone with that added background blur. It's a little bit too much at times, but done right, I think it looks pretty great actually. This tool can be incredibly powerful and it's always with you, and that's why I do make a lot of these filming with a smartphone videos, because it's so accessible and so powerful if you just use it right. But a lot of people just miss these minor things like filming with the ultra wide, and it just doesn't look as good as it could. Oh, and very important, we saw a bear cub. That was so cool. I don't even know what to say. Great trip, super fun hanging out with Peter. My brother was there, came all the way from Finland. Pacific Sands, thank you so much for hosting us. Braden, if you haven't seen Lost Coordinate on Instagram, incredible dude, incredible photographer, filmmaker, hooked up the whole trip for us basically. Did all of the work to organize, so big thank you to you, man. Really appreciate it. We're also planning like a pop-up NMO thing in Toronto, like a hangout, and I'm gonna be giving away a bunch of like stuff that I have at the office, so stay tuned for that. I think it'll be good. All right, bye.